So, you want to do film? I'm Safir and I'm from Electus Film. Since this is the first episode, I decided that I should take you guys all the way to the start on deciding whether or not you should study film or pursue it altogether. Okay, for different people, you find your different dreams and goals in very different ways. Some of you are forced to take film, some of you are forced to do this and that. Some of you found film through hobbies, or during your pastime you decide to go out there and take photographs, do little short films with you and your friends. Okay, the most imperative thing in deciding whether or not you should study film is understanding your why. Why you want to do film? Because some of you, for me this is targeting more towards the high school students who are trying to decide whether or not you should study film for your tertiary studies, or whether or not you should really look at it all together. The traditional path is film school, but it is really very costly. It's very expensive. It is something you can look into if your parents decide to sponsor you, or you are cool with having to pay some debts at the end of school. Why I decided to do film is because I think it is the avenue where I find easiest to express my emotions. For some of you, it's through music. I do play the piano as well to express my emotions, but I think film is something that I feel much closer to. Finding your why is imperative before you decide whether or not you should study film. As mentioned before, film school is very costly and expensive. And if you have your parents supporting you, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it's a good thing you have parents supporting you. But for those, of my friends out there who finds it a difficult avenue, you really want to do film, there are a lot of options you can look into. There are things like Google, YouTube, a lot of things. And I tell you, Google is your friend. You Google everything out there, from trying to film with a phone, if you don't have money for it. If you're trying to find the best cinematography techniques or anything like that, editing, everything you can find online. You just have to Google it. Everywhere on YouTube, it's just everywhere. And you don't necessarily have to be in film school. But for those of you who prefer school environment where you think you're able to achieve more, where you have peers around you, where you are able to sit down in groups of 3s and 4s and discuss ideas, and the presence of another human being next to you encourages you to strive, then film school is for you. Because like I said, I know I have a lot of people coming up to me and say that, hey, I kind of want to do film, I kind of want to do this and that, but I do not have the money. Please, 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 please do not let money stop you from doing anything you like to do. You hear this everywhere. It's the most cliche for me to say, but trust me, there's still a lot of people who are still thinking about money half the damn time. I have a moment in my life. So I have a moment in time in my life where I was going through secondary school and I have a strong passion for film. And I didn't have the money, right? I had to start borrowing a little camera from my friend. I was like, hey dude, look, I'll do about a trade with you. And she was like, oh yeah, what is it? I'm like, you got this 550D, can I borrow it from you? And I kind of just want to do take pictures and do short films after school. I had no knowledge at all on how to shoot anything. I do not know how to use the camera. I do not know anything. In my life, I realized that as long as I'm open to communicating my ideas and what I want to people, I think you can still make things happen regardless. And for those of you who decide to go to film school and pursue a degree, it's not necessarily a bad thing. But understand that most degrees are there to show people that you have, an understanding, a basic understanding of filmmaking, basic knowledge on script writing, and etc. etc. And this is gonna be for another episode, but there are schools out there that provide different avenues for filmmaking. So there's cinematography courses out there. There are script writing courses out there. You really need to find which school is suitable for you and is of a comfortable amount that you're willing to invest. Film degree and diploma is not necessary. I'm not necessarily saying a big no to it. I encourage, for those of you who have the capability or who's interested to still go out there and make things happen, it's still a good avenue to go to school. But most of the degrees out there are for teaching. Whether or not you want to teach film, degree doesn't mean anything. It's just a certificate saying hey, you know what, I've learned this much to be able to work under you or something like that. most industry nowadays look at experience. First-hand experience for me is I realized that a lot of people don't look at my cert and say that, hey, you know what, can I see your certificate of, you know, your diploma in film or degree in film production and anything like that before I decide to get a job. Everyone's just like, have you edited videos before? Okay, can I see your works and stuff like that? People look at your experience and your capabilities and your skills in achieving certain things, or maybe a work that needs to be done. Or can you handle the camera? Can I see the shots that you take? You know, can you do an event for me? And they're not gonna come and stand there and like, can I see your set? Or you get an A+ for script writing? Can you write a story for me? It doesn't work that way, you know. Usually most people would say that, have you had backgrounds in doing it for something, you know, for a real production out there, you know, for like maybe a TV series, or I do not know, corporate job, anything. It could be anything. What I'm trying to say is, for those of you who finds it difficult for you to go to school because you don't have money, going to school is not an only option. So you really have to decide if this is the path that you want to take. Going the traditional way is not a wrong thing. Going the rogue way, where it's just building on your free time, which is building yourself during your free time. It's like, okay, I'm going to create content out there, borrowing cameras with friends, or like anything, rent, work on odd jobs, you know, and stuff like to get extra cash, to get the camera out there and rent and stuff like that. It's perfectly fine. But as long as you have a strong reason on why you decide to do film, because in my school, there were technically 20 students at the beginning of the year, but because they do not understand why they want to do film, at the end of the year, there's only 4 students. And can you imagine that? It only takes 1 year for people to start dropping out slowly and realize that this thing is not for them. And that was $20,000 worth of school fees. Yes, I come from film school, but not technically like the whole big idea, like, you know. But I realized most of the things I learned there is something I could find online nowadays. You know, like everything is available out there. So really decide whether this is for you, and especially think about why you want to do film. Your why is so bloody important. It's the only reason why you would come back and ask yourself, hey, you know what? This is the reason why I picked film in the first place. I think that's just pretty much it. So guys, I think that's it for this episode, and for the next episode I'm gonna be focusing deeper on why your why is important. And pretty much, if you have any questions for this episode, feel free to drop a comment below or drop me an email. I'm more than happy to answer them. It's made for you and not for me, like I said before, and it's for a broad audience as well. So if you have any specific questions, please do not hesitate to ask me, and I'm here for you. So yeah, see you next Sunday.